Hey everyone, I got a great show for you today. I have Melissa Blake from Yes Brokerage with me. And hi. And we're going to talk about all things real estate agent, actually from a realtor's perspective. But Melissa is also a buy and hold investor. And most importantly to me is she is joining this collective or the office that we are building there on Van Ness, which is a huge relief to me because I want to make sure we have a couple of licensed agents in there so we can coordinate just truckloads of people coming out to Fresno and checking it out for investment options and the like. So I don't have to make the drive all the time. So Melissa, I wanted to thank you. My wife wants to thank you. My dog wants to thank you. So thank you very much for joining that little project on Van Ness.
Giving you more quality time with your family is what I hope to do.
Exactly. It's a 5-hour day just to say yes to someone. 2.5 hours out, 2.5 hours back. So
well, you'll have feet on the ground now that won't be your feet. So
there you go. All right. Why don't you just introduce the audience to who you are, maybe your background history. Who is Melissa Blake?
Sure. So Melissa Blake is a transplant to Fresno from Southern California. Mm-hmm. I moved here 12 years ago. I was in sales. I had finished school at Long Beach State. I moved here to sort of start adulting, and I got involved I did sales for a logistics company. Once I had my daughter, I wanted to have a little more control, and I took on the role of entrepreneurship through a fitness franchise where I was teaching fitness classes to moms to work out alongside their children, and I really enjoyed doing that. Mm-hmm. And then life happened, and I needed something a little more consistent, and I was working in the produce industry. And then as my daughter got older, I wanted to have more control over both my income as well as my time.
Yep.
And real estate seemed like a really good fit to me. Mm-hmm. So I had always been really interested in it. And in 2015, I left my job at the produce company, got my real estate license, and now I work for Yes Realty here in Fresno. Mm-hmm. And to this point, I've worked alongside both buyers and sellers, moving to the area, upgrading in the area. I do a lot of farming in the Fresno High Tower district. Mm-hmm. And actually it works great because that's exactly where our new office is going to be. So it's really going to be a great fit. I'm excited.
It is going to be a lot of fun. You used a word vortex, I think, before we hit record, but yeah, that's the plan for it. I missed, what year did you get your license? Sorry.
2015.
Perfect. Awesome. Very, very cool. So real quick, I'd be remiss if we didn't also highlight that you have 2 rental properties.
I do. I own 2 rental properties currently, and I would like to continue growing that number. I think I know there's a ton of potential in our community specifically. Yep. So in both buy and hold and short-term and long-term.
Yep. So I always like to find out the story of the first one. Was it, you lived in a house and then you upgraded and you just kept it as a rental, or did you find it through farming? Like I've done this before.
Maybe.
All right. So,
that
was
our first one. And then my second one is a duplex.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about the duplex. What's the story on that one? Where'd you find it? Do you remember the numbers?
Yeah, the duplex was off the MLS. A colleague of mine, actually, he posted it on social media. Mm-hmm. And we were one of, I believe, 3 offers in. Yep. But I had written a very strong offer for my partner and I. Yep. And we got it. And it was a short escrow. There was, one of the units was occupied, one was not. Okay. The tenants that occupied the unit were lovely. They left shortly after we purchased it. It actually worked really well in our favor because they were paying pretty low rent. So we were able to, we really didn't have to do much. They were turnkey. Yep. But what we did that was unique with the duplex, and we kind of found a little niche, is we have a ton of furniture. And actually when my partner and I moved in together we had a ton of furniture. So we rented one of the sides furnished. Oh. And what that enabled us to do is rent it out for significantly higher. Okay. We're renting that one out for $1,200, and it's a 1-1.
Oh, wow.
The other side we're renting out for $975, and it's unfurnished. Mm-hmm. So it's been ideal. We've been really blessed.
So is this in Fresno High, or where is the duplex?
This is Tower. It's actually right down the street from our office.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then a 1-1 for 1,200 furnished. Is it like 700 square feet, 750? It's probably a bigger 1-1, I'm
Side is
guessing.
900. Mm-hmm.
900. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty. And what year did you get that?
That was just last year.
Okay.
We bought it. We closed October of 2008.
Okay. All right. So you like furnished units? Is that just that one experience? But
that's just been one experience.
Yeah. What was the? I've actually never done that, and I've owned hundreds of units. I guess you had to advertise it furnished.
We did.
And did you see any noticeable difference in speed or tenant selection? I mean, who would say yes to a furnished unit? I mean, I have zero experience with that.
Sure. So it was a little bit lengthier of a process, but not scary lengthy. And what I mean by that is we have a housing crisis in Fresno, undoubtedly. There are more people here than there is housing to accommodate them. So the unfurnished rental, I had multiple applicants within minutes. I used Facebook Marketplace, and tenants were on it very quickly. Mm-hmm. The furnished one took a little bit longer, but within a week, I had an applicant, and I just so happened it was very serendipitous, and the stars very much aligned, and the situation was unique for the tenant. He was moving from out of the country. So he doesn't know if it's going to be short or long term. And we were very flexible with our time. Mm-hmm. And now it has proved to be longer than we both even agreed upon initially. Okay. And it's worked out great. And he may be going back out of the country. He may stay, he doesn't know. Mm-hmm. So it's just really a right fit for him and his family right now.
That's perfect. Very, mm-hmm. very cool. All right. So, that's awesome. And again, you have plans to grow this, right? You're looking to add one a year. Is that the kind of pace you want to do? 1 a year, 2 a year? Do you have any ideas?
I think so. And then I'm really, really interested in getting involved in the investment side mm-hmm. as well, as far as just flips.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You're going to like being a part of the office. Like you said, there's what is there? Three or four different guys in there, teams in there flipping, and some buy and hold folks. So it is going to be that vortex for all of us to benefit from. So let's talk about how we envision working together, meaning this channel and Melissa Blake. So I'm envisioning after we move in the office and we work all of this out, where people reach out and coordinate times to come see you, probably on the weekends. Just so you know.
I don't do weekends. No, I'm just kidding.
that was quick, actually.
No, and I'll make myself available for that.
Yeah, so you're going to be able to take like Tuesdays and Wednesdays off, and then you can work the rest of the time. Yeah, so that's what I envision happening, because I get a lot of people now, and it's just difficult. So why don't we talk about Fresno? Why don't we you mentioned a couple of times that you farm in the Fresno High and Tower area. Why don't you introduce what farming means, because maybe not everybody knows that term.
Sure. So when you farm an area, it's sort of the specific area in which you're spending your marketing dollars and your marketing time. Mm-hmm. I chose the Fresno High Tower district because I live here, so there's the convenience factor. Mm-hmm. And secondly, I love this community. Mm-hmm. It's the community aspect is really growing. There's a lot of young families that are moving here, and there's just a ton of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
There's a lot of character here too. So
that's what attracted me to that area.
So me, as a Southern California native, when I moved to Fresno, Tower really stood out to me, and that's where I purchased my first home. Mm-hmm. Because it had so much charm and so much character, and there's a lot of new build happening in Fresno, and those homes are beautiful, and they're brand new, and they're shiny and sparkly and fancy. But I really just love the charm that our little community has. Yeah.
And again, the reason I always, every, I don't know, every is probably too strong a word, but 90% of the time I bring people to Fresno, we exit by going through the Tower, because every house is different. Now versus 10 years ago, you can also see the evolution, right? So I have that history of 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a place where there's a lot of investment dollars, and more importantly, owner occupants, right? There was a time 15 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, where it was predominantly landlords, right? They just owned 70% of the street, but a lot of them got washed out in the crash, and now to see owner occupants, they're about half owner occupants now. So
I think you're right.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
what
other areas do you think what other areas are good for investors? Because again, people that watch this channel, the people that are going to come see you likely are investors looking to buy 1, 2, 3, multiple units. So this should be fun for you.
Sure.
But where do you think people should look, right? So obviously the Tower, Fresno High area, but where else should people be looking and all of that, you think?
Sure. So there's a lot of growth happening in downtown Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of revitalization happening down there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an excellent place to look. There's also the west side of Fresno too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of opportunity there. It's a community that has had some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of growth that's happening. Fresno is growing very rapidly.
Yep.
And I think those two areas, you can definitely help build a community.
Yeah, I think we didn't even practice this, and those would have been my two answers as well, right? 93701 or downtown was a place I didn't want to be 15 years ago. It was bad. But to see the hundreds of millions of dollars come into that very small footprint, just another example, the Fresno Hotel is getting upgraded, like $30 million project. I mean, that was like the last eyesore.
Yeah, they just approved that, I think, within the last week.
Yeah, they did. So again, that's, in my experience, that's the last huge white elephant in downtown. And now that's getting fixed, and that's going to be affordable housing. At least that's the plan I read. So downtown will be night and day difference once they paint the outside of that building. You're going to see it's just going to turn around. And then the west side is interesting because historically, right? Again, I'll speak from my experience, so I don't put words in your mouth. The west side has been known as the gang area.
Yep.
Right, historically speaking. I started to crack into the west side, meaning being very selective, about 5 years ago. Bought 3 houses within 15 houses, right? So I've got 3. Probably my best 3 investments ever, because we went in, we drove the street, and reason they were great investments is because nobody wanted to go there. No investor wanted to go there. I bought them ridiculously cheap, and they've been rented to the same, 2 of the 3 have been rented to the same person or same families since I bought them. So like no turns, thumbs up. And I've been selectively adding to the west side. It's like, I don't know. I'm not a great, I don't know. It's like you can see little streets growing, and they're just getting better and better. There are still absolutely areas you don't want to go to. But I think the west side is a place to get very selective, and having boots on the ground like yourself is going to allow us to, again, get ridiculous low prices to value. So I'm really glad to hear you say that. So
good. We're on the same page.
Plan for some activity. And then the other area is, I actually don't know what we call it. The 93702 area, kind of near Huntington Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I don't know. It's like Huntington and Kirkhoff, Platt, Verve, that area is starting.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's a historical area, Fresno.
Yeah, it is.
And it's crazy. I've sold I've listed and sold a couple homes in that community. And it's such an interesting hodgepodge of big, beautiful, historical mansions.
Yes.
And sort of dilapidated homes that have been kind of used and abused.
Yeah, well used. It's funny. Right now, I am making an offer on it's a 2-house on Huntington Boulevard proper near 4th Street. It's like almost 7,000 total square feet for like 400. I'm trying to get it for under 400, but it's not working right now. But that's what I'm saying is this Huntington Boulevard is a magnet, because that street's like gorgeous, like between Cedar and First, I think.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And then what you do is you invest on the streets behind it, like Kirkhoff and then Platt and those areas. So that's another area where I've been picking up stuff recently to help people. So.
And I think part of the growth that we're seeing in the areas that we discussed, I think there's a shift in our culture happening as people from Southern California and the Bay Area are moving into our community because they're just getting outpriced there, right? Yep. They're getting priced out of the market. Fresno becomes, it's hot here, but
yeah, August is warm. Yeah.
A lot more appealing when you can actually afford to live here
yep.
and afford to do things that you love. But, and I think those dollars coming into our community are starting to make it's appealing to those people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Anything else you want to kind of highlight in Fresno and, things to think about? Because again, think about being an investor who's got the itch for their first investment and, wants to do a little research on their own before they reach out to you. Any other words of advice or things they should think about?
Words of advice. Familiarize yourself with the community. Yeah. Fresno operates differently. I think Fresno is a unique community, and to familiarize with the area that you're going to be in. There's pockets that are better than other pockets, and it changes in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, like one traffic light, sometimes a stop sign, right? Yeah.
So at the same time too, there's a lot of growth happening and a ton of potential, and it is a community of very welcoming people.
Oh, absolutely. So I think there's something if you're an investor, you're from SoCal or you're from the Bay, and you're looking to make investments to provide cash flow and wealth creation for your family, do you want to buy one in the Bay or SoCal, or do you want to buy 10 in Fresno, right? You want to increase your foundation so when the tide rises, everybody's taken care of. So again, getting comfortable with that. I think you've got to come to Fresno at least once or twice to drive the streets with someone like yourself, get out of the car, walk the Tower District just to get a feel for the character. And then I think people will be off and running. So this is going to be fun. How can people learn more about you, Melissa? And maybe give your phone number if they want to already start talking about opportunity.
Text, call, email. My phone number, 559-403-6926. One more time, that's 559-403-6926. Or you can reach me by email, melissa@fresyes.com. I'm also really active on social media, so I've got a pretty fun interactive Instagram page if you are a user. I spotlight our community quite a bit, and that is MB Sells Fresno is my Instagram handle. MB Sells Fresno.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool, Melissa. So again, this is going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing what we can do. And my plans to get the office move-in ready within 10 days or so. And then let's see where this goes.
I'm excited for it.
All right. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Okay, you too, Mike. Talk to you soon.